I heard Louis C.K. tell this story about when he first moved to New York City. He was sharing an apartment with Nick DiPaolo, another comedian. And as you would imagine, two young dudes living in an apartment together, it was an absolute pigsty. And Louis C.K. said that um, there was an instance where he was in his living room or something. I'm assuming he was eating and he had like a bottle of hot sauce and it fell over and it spilled on the carpet. And he said that for as long as he was there for the rest of his lease, the hot sauce just stayed there. That's now where it lived because he just didn't give a fuck, enough of a fuck to move or clean up the hot sauce. And so for me, this is an example of someone shunning the societal norms to, like, if you have a garden, you should maintain it and weed it, clean the weeds out. Or you can just be like, oh, fuck it. This is something I should be doing, but I don't want to maintain it. I'm just gonna learn to live with it. And yeah, I feel like ultimately in that moment, Louis C.K., Nick DiPaolo, they were like a hustling young comedians. They had a big goal on their horizons. They were like working towards trying to be paid comedians. And, you know, in terms of like the grand scheme of things, would it take out a lot of time of their day to clean up the hot sauce, to clean your room, as old mate JP would encourage you to do? Probably not. Take you like a couple minutes, I'm guessing. Maybe some fucking stain remover on the old carpet. But it's the principle of the matter. It's also kind of like this weird thing where when you're a young man, you do get like this license to still kind of behave like a child. Where I was a young guy living in a share house. I lived in an absolute pigsty. I had a mattress on the floor. I didn't have any other furniture or any place to store my clothes. So I just threw everything on the ground. And it didn't really matter. No one, perhaps, perhaps a certain type of female would be like, "Oh, that's disgusting." But yeah, there's this weird thing where it's like, "Fuck it, I don't." It does not bother me, and I'm young. I'm meant to be doing this, and so deal with it. That's kind of like an attractive mentality to a certain degree. If you genuinely don't give a fuck, then other people want to be around you. And so I think the problem is though is that as you get older, you lose sight of your big goals. Or like you get convinced that like weeding the garden is your um is your big goal. That's like your purpose in life, is just to maintain the little box in the suburbs that you've created for yourself. And I say, fuck that Diet Coke shit. Not really. Like, well, that's the thing though, is that like as someone who used to live in similar levels of squalor, I definitely grew tired of that. I was like, all right, by weeding the garden and picking up shit when I spill it, yeah, I prefer to live in that type of environment now. But I'm also very conscious of like anything I take on. I'm like, okay, if I decide to move into a certain type of house, then it's going to be like, what type of responsibility am I accepting? Like recently here in Atlanta, I live in this like serviced apartment building where I don't have to do shit. I have fucking furniture um in my apartment, and if anything breaks, I just call the dudes who work here and they come and fix it. And our lease expired, and I was like, oh, should we get a house with more space and stuff like that? And I was like, no, fuck it. Let's just stay in a serviced apartment because I don't want to take on any of that shit. It will just be more weeds in the garden that I have to deal with that will distract me from what I'm really doing. So I'm not living in squalor anymore, but I'm also perfectly happy to um just let shit that doesn't bother me fester and ignore it if it's not fucking helping me or getting in the way of what I'm trying to do. So is there a fucking lesson there? I don't know. Louis C.K. got exposed for masturbating in front of other people, and now Nick DiPaolo is a hardcore right wing guy. So should we be taking lessons from them? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think I don't know. If you catch weeds in the right light, they look pretty pretty. You just gotta have the right mindset, y'all. All right, that's another one in the bag.